my story from the other night. You know what I'm saying? Where I leave off at my arraignment hearing. That's where I left off at. So my lawyer, he schedules a visit with me. He schedules to come see me and give me a lawyer's visit so that way I could see my discovery. And, I'm new to this shit. I really don't know what's up, I did grow up, and doing some trifling shit, like, grew up in gangs, all the good shit, whatever. But I'm trying to figure out, like, why am I still here? I still have the discernment to know, like, they shouldn't have anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, so my lawyer comes to see me on, like, a Monday afternoon or some shit. And we're talking, and I'm like, so what's the deal? Like, why was the deal so high? Why is it 16 to 32? I'm still naive to that certain point. I don't know law like that. Because granted, I was committing the same crimes as a juvenile, and I've walked away with probation on robberies and, vast assaults and shit like that. So it's a different ball game when you're grown and shit, right? So he's like, well, he told me straight like this. I'm gonna try to get your bond lowered, but 9 times out of 10, it's probably not gonna happen due to the extent and the severity of the crime. My victim was very involved, which is something you don't see very often. Normally victims just get the fuck on, go on about their business, but this motherfucker here, he was involved. That nigga was, I think he became a DA after this, real shit. But, no, I'm bullshitting, but, no, so, my lawyer shows me the discovery. It's finally in, it's finally complete. I see all the witnesses, and I'm like, man, this is some bullshit, because literally all the arresting officers were listed as witnesses, and I was like, them niggas wasn't there, like, but, I guess it's just, that's normal. And then I scroll down a little bit further onto the next page, and it says that T and Q are our witnesses, and next page is their statements. I'm like, oh, okay, shit. They probably just said, oh, such and such. They might have just kept it solid, but that's when right there I learned that them niggas didn't even make it to the substation. Them niggas told before they didn't even get cuffed up and told. Niggas, like, they told immediately. like with the speediness, nigga, like just with the jiffiness, nigga, just, this nigga did it. Like, hopped in the front seat of the cop car and took him to the pistol. Like, nigga, did you get at least did you get something out the deal at least, nigga? Really, like some, a cup of coffee or a cigarette or something, nigga? I mean, goddamn, like, didn't even, no holds barred here. So let me tell you why, especially why this was heartbreaking. Because, you guys ready? Here's the drum roll. Q and T are my fucking brothers. I felt so betrayed, and let me go into a slight backstory on why that was so heartbreaking or disappointing. Because, growing up, we both had different mamas. So Q and T had the same mama, and I had my mom, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't grow up close at all. I think I remember seeing the niggas like a couple times when we were little. Like, I have a funny story about T when he was little. One time, his mom came to pick us up, but I'll say that shit for later. But, so up until this point, I've probably been kicking it with Q and T, getting to know them for probably probably for like the prior year, maybe, not even maybe like 6 months. trying to get acquainted with them and, build the brotherhood that we never had. And I learned real quick that, that title of family member, brother, mother, cousin, you know, that means nothing at the end of the day. And a lot of people, I understand why people value, the whole blood is thicker than water thing, but truthfully, I've been done more dirty by my family members than my own ops back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I've never understood. So to this day, I operate under the motto, my family is who I make my family. So the people I'm closest to right now, those are my family members. Like, and it's a plethora and different fucking melting pot of different people. You know what I'm saying? And it's been like that for a hot minute. You know, eventually, once I get more established, I'll delve deeper into my life before all this. You know what I'm saying? So right now we're going from 18 to probably 18 to 24. This is where this story starts. But eventually I'll spare the details, but probably like we'll go from 10 to 18. Here down the road or whatever. But I'm just trying to. I think I got something that you guys want to hear. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, my last video, I'm not trying to bite 16 to life. I really fuck with that dude, man. He actually is a huge inspiration to what I'm doing now. And so I have to, I have to give my love a shout out. Like, that nigga's hilarious too, I gotta say. But so I get the discovery, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kind of in a fog, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause up until this point, I've been in the county before, but probably for like 13 days, like on a bullshit violation, So I'm like, so I'm fitting to be here. And, so, I get more acquainted, I dig in, and there's nothing worse. Like, the county jail is some bullshit. Like, I'd much rather go to the joint before going to the county. Like, nigga, God forbid I catch a case for anything, but if I did, and the rollers gave me an option, like, look, you can go to the county or you go straight to the joint. I'm like, yeah, nigga, send me the joint. But there's nothing worse than being in the county. Luckily, I had people in there that fucked with me, but, like, I didn't have no bread on my books. And if you're anybody familiar with Arapahoe County, they have a booking fee for every time you touch down in that motherfucker. So, but that shit is negative on your balance on your books until someone either pays that down, puts money on your books plus whatever your booking fee is. And every time you go to the county jail, you have that same booking fee. So, nigga, if you went to the county jail 10 times in a year, that's $600. But most niggas, they have relationship with their mamas, baby mamas, brothers, cousin, such and such, whoop-de-whoop. But I didn't have none of that. Like, shit didn't get good for me until I was like 2 years in on my sentence, which is a little down the road from here. But one day, so I'm in a medium pod at this time. I think I said Charlie. Yeah, I think that's where I was at. But then I wake up like it was a Saturday, I remember, and we had just came off lockdown because somebody had just killed themselves in B pod. Nigga jumped off the second tier. Like, maybe that'll be like a side story, but in a nutshell, this dude killed his wife and got hemmed up immediately, and decided he didn't want to face his consequences, or more or less hold his mud. I can't knock him, whatever, but it ain't that serious, my nigga. But so they rally like 10 of us up, like me, Ray, Shell Shock, like my whole cell went. The homie Taco, he was a tagger. Uh, this fool that looked just like Jesus. He was a juggalo cat, but it's kind of fucked up what happened to him later on, or at least what I heard happened. I ain't gonna speak too much on it, but we all get moved over to Depot, and I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, it's a max pod, like super max pod. And then I'm talking to Ray Ray, like, damn, well, they moving us over here because like he told me, like he had already been to the joint, he already been to DOC and shit. So he basically told me like, oh yeah, it's probably just a DOC pod, like probably for super high, people with high risk and uh, high profile cases. I'm thinking like, well, on paper, my crime was violent, but in all actuality, it's like I didn't shoot nobody. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm thinking, but I'm like, yo, they're sending me to the DOC pod. Like, are they trying to insinuate something? Like, what I mean? Like, damn, like they're kind of speaking this into my existence, low key. But the choices we make dictate the path we follow. And so we move over to the DOC pod, and I'm actually grateful for this. I'll tell you why. Because being so young, I didn't know any type of prison etiquette. I just knew like the little shit that I would hear. You know what I'm saying? Like from my older brother, free my brother. Why I say that? He's doing 35 years right now, and this is why I'm doing this YouTube shit. Stack a check so I get that nigga a new lawyer. We could get that nigga some reconsideration. Free magic. Love you, bro. I got some stories with that nigga too. That's gonna be in my 10 years old to 18 series. But so we moved to the DOC pod. This is a pod for people either that are going to be on the bus to go to DOC, parole violations, niggas that gets freshly sentenced to DOC, niggas that already have a DOC number, etc. And also for niggas that are coming from DOC on on a writ. A writ is basically you're still dealing with court cases, either that be a family court, a charge that wasn't resolved, appeals, and in the worst case, but you probably won't see these niggas, is witnesses or niggas that are about to go testify. They'll probably be locked up, but you'll learn how this shit kind of works because I've seen it. So in different cars, a car basically is, a group of people that share common interests, whether you be black, white, Chicano, Mexican, whatever, Paisa. And you'll see though, there were some rats that were like niggas with jackets that were okay within their car. Like, I don't know if it was because niggas were scared of them or niggas had money or what. It was just, there was a couple niggas walking around, I know for sure. In Colorado, it's a little different though. Like, our cars kind of expand into it's a little different, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we have different types of gangs out here. We have some homegrown shit, but a lot of it is borrowed from California. So, I get here, but they mix us all up. Ray Ray goes somewhere else, but lo and behold, my cousin Dynamite from 107 Hoover. Probably the most wild nigga I've ever met in my whole entire life. Like, when we were youngsters, I seen him strike the fear of God into niggas. He was always he's probably one of the most feared niggas, and he had like a weird story too. Like, when we were little, that nigga got hit by a bus, so his whole right leg looks like Freddy Krueger skin, my nigga. Like, some ugly shit. Cuddy never wears shorts either, so. No. Back in the day, he used to wear them big ass shorts, everybody was wearing. All creased up and shit with some house shoes or some croaker sacks or something. But, my cousin Dynamite, he's a 107 Hoover, He really don't have too many ops in that county. Like, Colorado at one point was never deep with any type of rolling or neighborhood Crips at all. There's like the A trays are deep, the Hoovers are pretty deep in one central area, and most like the deepest hoods are probably going to be in the east side, the north side, and the west side. The west side you got like GKIs, the Chicano Bloods. I'll never differentiate them from the Africanos. Like the Black Bloods because I'm gonna keep it 100. I don't give a fuck who gets mad at me. Some of the hardest bloods I've ever met when the shit was on, like when the shit was on, all the way on, some of the most disrespectful bloods I've ever met were from the Mexican side of CMG, from the West Side CMG, like from the West Side Projects and shit. Like, them niggas took that banging on wax shit too, like, hard, bro. Like, they running up disrespecting shit right off rip and will lay you down. But, so I'm trying to give you a lay of the land. The east side is mostly Crips. So you got Treo. That's the OGs. That's the niggas that were, that established the Crips in Colorado in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And then you got like, I want to say Trey came after that. That was supposed to be like Treo's BGs. And then I think Trey Deuce came after that, which, I'm not really sure I'd have to ask my pops. He knows how this shit works, but maybe one day I'll have him on this platform with me. But, and then, you got, let's see, you got Trey Deuce, Esau Riders, damn, I can't be forgetting all this shit now. You got like Trey 1, Trey 5, Trey 4 Black Hole Posse, like a lot of them cats that I just listed aren't really deep in the prison system. Like, I think I maybe ran into one Black Hole Posse. I ran into one BHP in Ordway, I think. You know what I'm saying? But that was a relatively small hood from the east side. And then so I'd probably say the deepest though out of the east side Crips is probably the Trey niggas. And I can't forget about Brick City. Do 7 Brick City. Them niggas was pretty deep too. They all come from the projects, the Curtis Park projects. And then we have Park Hill. That's where all the Black Bloods were established. They all stem from like the BOYZs. A lot of pop locking crews became these certain hoods. So Park Hill is laced up with all kinds of different bloods. A lot of niggas from Inglewood came out here. So I've heard. Inglewood niggas came out here in like in the mid '80s at some time, and turned them Park Hill niggas out. And sooner or later I'll get into the logistics and how these niggas get down, what the Bloods are known for, and what the Crips are known for. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's quite funny. Even my pops will look at me crazy with some of the shit I'll say eventually, but it's the truth. It's real. It's real. I've never seen. I like, if anybody's watching from Colorado, I guarantee you won't disagree. But anyway, so I got my roll. I got my hygiene, because they give you 2 towels, 3 underwears, 2 sets of oranges, and they have the top and bottom there. It's not a jumpsuit. You don't get a jumpsuit till you go to DRDC. So you get that, and then they switch you out every Wednesday, I think it is. So I find my cellies. It's this nigga, Baby Boy from Deuce Trey. I think it was just me and him at first for a hot minute. And then eventually, this nigga Spook, he's like, oh yeah, that nigga's from Corner Pocket, man. Spook, the nigga that, he basically, in a sense, kind of bullied a nigga. I ain't gonna front with you, I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you, but he bullied me, but he taught me a lot at the same time though. Like, when I walked into the joint or DRDC, I was able to walk in with my head held high from the way that Spook and a lot of niggas had prepared me and had laced my boots. because nigga, I was so naive and so oblivious to what the fuck was going on. I still have like a childlike mind at this time. I'm 18 years old. You know what I mean? Like I'm out, before I got locked up, I'm out popping thizzles and fucking bitches and, you know what I mean? Just mobbing around doing janky shit, whatever. So, we, so I get acquainted and, Spook. We used to call that nigga Boo Boo Fingers because if that nigga shook your hand, bro, like, and you like rubbed your face or something, like it would smell like you had some doodle on your hands or something like that. Shit, you not just a black ass nigga, like literally the definition of a nigga, like black as fuck, hair looking like man. That nigga's hair was like a Brillo pad, and I can say shit like that because I'm a nigga too. But yeah, so I'm sorry I'm pausing out. I'm new to this shit, but I'm trying to keep y'all as entertained and keep this shit moving at a cool little pace. So, there it begins. The many different people I ran into. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, I go to my next court date. This is they give you the option to waive your prelim, but that usually comes with a deal. So they gave me the option, but the deal was 10 years. No, I was like, I was thinking what Dynamite would have told me. And I was like, nah, I'll pass. And, he was like, are you sure they might not come with a better deal after this? And, I don't give a fuck what nobody says. 10 years sounds like a long time, but nowadays, with how prison reform is going, 10 years really ain't that much, depending on what you do. You get 10 years with 85% or any aggravators, and all right, then you're going to do most of that. But a simple 10 years, you'll probably do about like maybe 3 or 4 of that and be out on parole. Just don't fuck up. And then all you gotta do is finish your whatever tail they give you on parole. So I said fuck all that, you know what I'm saying? And when you go to the county jail, you'll run into a lot of people fighting their case. And you'll run into a lot of niggas due to fighting their case for so long, they didn't became jailhouse lawyers. So they know statutes, but like some of them be hella janky because they'll tell you some shit. So this is where I learned a valuable lesson to take a lot of things. You don't only believe, so much of what you hear. I don't want to say a percentage because, there's some things that you kind of got to take for face value if you have any type of faith or belief system. So, I'm looking for tutelage. I'm looking for guidance. Like, what the fuck do I do? A lot of these old heads were surprised that I didn't get any type of probation offer. They're like, oh, okay, youngster, they're going to make an example out of you. And there's one story I just want to cover real quick before I get the fuck up out of here. There's this one old head, probably one of the smartest cats I've ever known. He was kind of like a father figure, low key. Like, if I did something that was out of pocket, he was like, hey, youngster, you don't never, like when you go to the joint, you don't ever want to do that. That is disrespectful. You don't walk in nobody's hut. He ran down the basics for me. Like, everybody hates a jailhouse snitch, a jailhouse thief. And that shit follows you into your actual life on the outside too. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, if you ask me, there's no honor amongst thieves. If you stealing from niggas, especially like working class people, I can understand. All right, now if you out here, on some jack boy shit, you take it from a nigga, like from their hands. You let them niggas know, like, hey, this is mine now. All right, cool, you got that. But if you out here on some sneaky shit, like, nigga, I basically, anytime you come in my house, I gotta make sure you're clapping your hands if I have to leave the room for any reason, because, niggas like you steal, then yeah, nah, I mean, honestly, if I know that about you, I ain't fucking with you. You ain't coming to my house, period. But, this was so fucked up, but it just goes to show how choices work. He was in there for a robbery. He hit a bank with a squirt gun, like a disguised squirt gun. He got hemmed up, of course. Um, he was taking it to the box. He was taking it to trial because he thought he had action. And from the way he explained it, my young mind, I'm like, oh well, shit. The way he explained it, he had action. So this nigga takes it to the box, and I'll never forget the look on his face because when he left to go to the holding tank for court, man, Cuz was in good spirits. We had a good prayer circle before he went, and you know he was a light skinned nigga with like he had to be mixed with something because he had the curly slick back. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to be at least 40, 45 years old. You know what I mean? Like so he leaves for court. And usually that type of shit you ain't gonna be back for at least like 3-4 hours, depending on how deep the group you went with was. Like you could be gone for like 3-4 hours at court, and if you're on trial like that, you could be there all day. You know what I'm saying? And so I'll never forget them niggas. The case rested, or counsel rested, whatever. The court rested, and they deliberated right there. No. He had already went to trial. Okay. So he had already went to trial, and they found him guilty on one count. And the count that he got found guilty on was felony menacing and brandishing a firearm. They couldn't get him on the robbery. So he goes to court. Yeah. So this is why he was glowing when he went to court, because he's like, all right, sentencing. The most they'll probably give me for, like shit, they might give a nigga like 4 or 5 or whatever. But no, we got to talk about the aggravators and presumptive ranges and your PSI. Your PSI is your pre-sentence investigation. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Whatever if I'm not. So I don't think he figured any of that shit in, but I doubt. I'm pretty sure he did, because he wasn't no dummy for sure. Like he was probably like I said, one of the smartest niggas I've ever met. So I remember like it was yesterday. They had just let us off lockdown. I think we're getting ready for chow, and the gate opens. Well, the door opens or whatever. Niggas start coming in from the Sally Port, and the look on my nigga's face, like I knew shit was fucked up. Like I didn't even like want to approach bro, like, cause I knew shit was all bad at this point. Like shit was all bad. Like they ended up giving that nigga 64 years. That's why I say Carol Chambers wasn't no fucking punk. She meant, like, when she said that she was gonna hand out 1,000,000 years, either she did it or she put a good dent in that million before she got the fuck up out of office. She was a savage, man. Hell hath no fear, like a woman scorned. I don't know who pissed her off or what her deal was, man, but she was probably one of the most savage prosecutors that I've ever heard of, ever had to, do time under or, fight a case under. And but this goes to show, for the youngsters out there, for anybody out there that's, contemplating doing some stupid shit or living that kind of lifestyle to where shit can change just that quick. Your choices dictate the path that you navigate. Just like that. And you can't be mad at nobody. You can't be mad at nobody when shit goes wrong. Yes, all right, so I could be mad at my brother's Q&T for snitching forever. I can hold that grudge. But I gotta think, wow, I put myself in that position to be snitched on. Old head over there that got the 64 years, He put himself in that position to catch those 64 years. And he made that choice. He sealed his fate. There's not one finger he can point at anybody else but himself. All right, cool. You want to blame your circumstances? Straight. But, yes, I can understand the theory of not having any other choice. But did you really try hard enough? Or did you just resort to what you already knew? And that's what a lot of us are guilty of. You know, that's the project, the slave mentality, the hood mentality. That you don't have any option. If you don't have any options, resort to what you know instead of trying to learn something new. In the long run, taking time to learn something and try something else will pay off bigger than staying formulaic in a way to where you only do what you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, doing what you know comes from a sense of survival. And I can't even hate on it. I'm a project kid. A lot of people, a lot of homies I have are all project kids. And I'll even say, like, you know, being that I moved to a lot of places, project kids are everywhere, even in white communities. You know, in white communities, it's more of, instead of racism, it's classism. You know, it's, you got the trailer park kids, then you have the kids that are like middle class or whatever you would call, living in townhomes or apartment complexes. Then you got the people that are, you know, elite or doing just fine, doing pretty good for themselves and living in a nice big house. They got everything they could ever ask for, and they don't get whoopings. They could cuss their mama out. You know, some of the wildest shit I've ever seen was from a white kid talking to his mama. Like, one day I'll talk about my homeboy Blake and some of the shit he used to tell his mama. Boy, I'd be like, damn, like, don't get it twisted. Me and my mama ain't that close. Eventually, that story will be told too. But no matter how fucked up me and my mom's relationship is, there's certain things I will never say to my mama. Ever. I don't give a fuck what she does. Like, but the way my nigga Blake, talked to his mama, boy, I was like, shit, I kind of took cover when I first heard it because I was like, man, that nigga's mama's finna start throwing shit at this nigga immediately. Something's gonna come flying down these stairs. But she just said, okay, and mobbed off, you know, got the fuck on. But anyway, thanks for listening. Hopefully you enjoy. You know, like, share, subscribe, whatever you got to do. You know, I kind of ramble on, whatever. Hopefully there's something you take from this conversation here. You know what I'm saying? The next video will be up tomorrow. Yes, I am uploading a video every other day until this shit catches the fuck on. Because I know it will. But, comment, ask questions, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? Talk to me, I'll talk back. But I'm out, man. Peace.